Ladies and gentlemen, your sweet Zionist prince to all the traveling clat, back live here from Israel. We're taking a look at a clip today between Muhammad Hijab and Jordan Peterson. My first time ever watching publicly anything about Muhammad Hijab. I'm not a big fan of this guy.
This is with a problem, doesn't it? I mean, it presents everyone with a problem. And the problem is, well, for example, the problem is reconciling the idea of turning the other cheek with the idea of a just war, a defensive war, or an expansive war for that matter. And of course that issue is relevant to Islam because Islam exploded outward and produced the biggest empire the world had ever seen in the space of a few short centuries.
Yeah, but Dr. Jordan Peterson.
So then you ask, well, what's the spirit? What is the spirit that animated that? And is that attributable to the Islamic doctrines themselves?
Yes,
I don't know the answer to that.
No, let me tell you the answer to that, okay? And this is what I want to tell you conclusively, and this will help build bridges, honestly. Because we can maintain the warlord thesis, we can maintain the expansionist thesis. But here's what I'll tell you. Islam has a capability to be expansive, and it also has a capability of making peace treaties. And it does, and it should do whatever's in its best interest. Just like every country should do whatever's in its best interest.
Except Islam is not a country. It is a religion that has a very, very colonial mentality, or at least the practitioners of it under Arabism and the expansion of Arabism and Arabizing people in the Middle East has a very colonial mentality. And it doesn't think like a modern nation. It thinks about conquest and conquering and not necessarily about peace.
In the pre-modern world, we did not, I think this is highly anachronistic. In the pre-modern world, there was no such thing as the UN. It was a realist international relations framework whereby everybody was fighting everyone. The Roman Empire didn't care about it didn't care about you, quite frankly. It was expanding itself. The Persian Empire was expanding itself, and the Arabian Peninsula was in between both. And so it could have either been swallowed by those two other empires, or it could decide to, in fact, we will impose our government on them before they impose it on us. And it decided the former rather than the latter. It decided to expand. And in fact, the Prophet, in his weakest of times, he predicted that would happen. You know, there was one war in particular where they were starving, and it's called Khandaq, and he hit a rock and he said, Futihat Rum, the Roman Empire has been conquered. He hit a rock again. He said, Futihat Faris, that the Persian Empire has been conquered. And then he knocked the rock again. He said this in his weakest moment. He said that the Yemen has been conquered. I see that the expansion of the Islamic Empire is a proof for Islam. And you know, it's not just me. Even historians say this. Barnaby Rogerson, he said the fact that Islam spread to the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire is equivalent to is equivalent to Eskimos taking over Russia and America. I believe it's miraculous, if anything, that this happened. I don't think it's unjustifiable. I think actually Jordan Peterson, to be
then
completely honest with you,
why did it stop at Europe's borders, so to speak? If it was a miraculous expansion,
yeah, it stopped out because of it wasn't successful there. It stopped where it couldn't go further.
Oh, Jordan, that was a great question from Jordan Peterson. Why did it stop at Europe's borders? Because it wasn't strong enough to conquer the Europeans. Here's something I never really understood about Muhammad Hijab. He isn't an idiot. He is a smart, educated man. Not that you have to be educated in schooling, in my opinion, to be smart, but the man is smart. He's eloquent. He can express himself. He's not a full idiot as he makes himself seem to be most of the times. I always wonder with him for how anti-Israel he is and how anti-Jewish he is and how he has propagated so many anti-Semitic rhetorics, so many like openly celebrating October 7th and openly celebrating Hamas, just like being generally pro the destruction of the state of Israel. I'll never ever understand how somebody at his caliber of intelligence, and again, I'm saying that I'm not praising him for being smart, but he isn't an idiot, okay? He's not dumb. He is a smart person. I always wonder at somebody of his caliber of intelligence how he's not able to understand and piece together that we're not going anywhere. How he's not able to piece together that Israel is here to stay and that the Jews are here to stay. Because you have to wonder, somebody who's so well studied on the Quran, who, you know, I have the Quran right here next to me. I have another one in Arabic there, but I just finished reading the Quran. I just finished reading it for the second time. I was shocked to find how many, I've heard about it before, and my first time reading the Quran, maybe I didn't notice it as much. How many times Israel, the children of Israel, Bnei Israel, the nation of Israel, is brought up. I could probably open to any. I'm just going to flip through real quick, especially in the beginning, and see if I can find just in any random page the word Israel. How many multiple times it comes up. Let me just skip through here. And I'm obviously probably missing it because I'm looking quickly for the sake of the video. Just scanning here. I was actually shocked to see how many times Israel actually shows up in the Quran. It was crazy. And how many Jewish concepts it actually brings up. Like I just passed the Day of Judgment, which is something that's very much a Jewish concept from the Old Testament. Here's the story of Jonah and the whale. I was shocked to see in the Quran too how it was basically like it kind of felt like a repeat of the Old Testament. And people of the book. So you see here people of the book, which also is the children of Israel, is people who accepted Moses' covenant with God, Abraham's covenant with God. All these concepts, they all come from Judaism. Here, look. Here's another one. This is amazing. Like I didn't think that this was going to be in here because I never really see Muslims talking about this. This is on page 62, Surah 443, Al-Nisa. We rejected those who broke the Sabbath. God's command is always carried out. It's unbelievable how many concepts from Judaism, from the Old Testament, are rooted in this book that Muslims practice, yet they seem to be the most anti-Israel, most anti-Jewish people on planet Earth right now, the Muslims. And again, it's not to generalize, like it's not every single Muslim, but a vast majority of Muslims have very, very, this is on page 45. All food was lawful for the children of Israel, except whatever Israel had made unlawful for himself before the Torah was sent down. I wonder, and I mean, there's nonstop. Throughout the whole, I mean, I could go to the end, the beginning. There is constantly brings up the word Israel, Bnei Israel. It's all over this book. It really is. It's everywhere in the Quran. I'm obviously, this is not a great example to be able to sit here and just randomly pick ones. But I think the number is it's here like 65 times. When Abraham said, "My Lord, make this city of a peace." How many times the concepts from the Jewish Bible are brought up in here? I actually was surprised to see that Muhammad is not even mentioned that often, at least not by name. Anyways, I find it amazing that Muslims like Muhammad Hijab, can't understand that we're here, we're part of this world, we're not going anywhere. You can't conquer us. I mean, you can try to put us into dhimmi status again, but we'll rise up. The Muslims didn't treat us well. There were periods of time where they did, but overall, there's a reason why we have our own nation is because we weren't comfortable living under you. You guys treated us like shit. And now we're our own entity. So you weren't able to conquer Europe, and now you're not able to conquer Israel. You cause a lot of terrorism, and it's a bad look for you. People like Muhammad Hijab, who stands up for Hamas, stands up for the hostage taking, stands up for all the atrocities of the Palestinians while doing it in a sneaky way where it abides by guidelines on social media. It's disgusting. It really is. And I always wonder how somebody who understands the history, understands his own holy book, and sees how many times we're mentioned in here, is unable to comprehend that there might be something special about us, that maybe it's not worth fighting us to the death, that maybe it's not worth going head to head with us, and maybe be more like a partner of peace with us. I always wonder about people who are intellectual in the Islamic world, who still fight. But then again, when you read the Quran, as much times as it does mention Israel, it also mentions a lot of negative things about Israel, the Jews, and the Christians. And that's just in the Quran. Hadith and all the other supplementary information about Islam, it mentions some real degrading things, like how you have to fight us and kill us where you find us, and the rocks and the trees and the Garkad trees. I mean, there's a lot there. So if you really buy into the whole Islamic cinematic universe, I would be remiss that you don't end up hating Jews. There's obviously exceptions to that, and I've met many wonderful Muslim friends who love Israel and love Jewish people, but just, I think that's the exception, not the rule, unfortunately. Anyways, hope you guys liked my commentary on this. Please do consider supporting the channel by buying some merchandise or becoming a patron down below on my Patreon. It goes a long way to support me, and I'll see you in the next one. I love you long time, class. Bye-bye. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.